I ain't tryna get no ZZs. I tell you I wanna sleep in it. Fuck around and call you my hubby. Don't make it too easy. I think she half Middle Eastern. I'm a North African, but you can find me on the Eastern.
Okay. Okay, no, why not? So, welcome to the Halfway Podcast. We have finally launched. For those of you who have been watching out for us, what we aspire to do with this podcast is bridge the gap between those who want to do and those who do. So, sit back and enjoy. Today, we're here with Ghaith, and Ghaith is 26 years old. He is currently running 3 businesses. So round of applause to Ghaith for that, because do you own 3 businesses at 26? No, I'm joking. But yeah, so we're going to speak to Ghaith a little bit about how he got into that, what his background was. Just overall, sit back and relax. So Ghaith, take the spotlight. The spotlight is on you now. How about you tell us a little bit about your background? So 3 defining points of what you remember from your childhood.
Well, I would say I was very hardworking when I was young. I was on construction sites from like the age of 8 years old. So yeah, so I've done a lot of things. So I remember even like when I was 13, I done like my first flooring in a house. So yeah, I've done a complete flooring of like 50 square meters.
And is that because of your dad, I'm assuming, or
yeah,
family members?
Yeah. So it was more enough to do with family and what they were in. So on summer holidays, I was on the construction sites. That's what gave me a lot of knowledge of why I have so much knowledge on construction now. And yeah, so hard working is definitely one. I would say intense also, because I grew up very, very fast compared to people my age. So it was the whole getting into work, trying to be financially stable. Like life was moving at like 100 miles per hour when I was younger. So there was responsibilities that I had where I didn't see that other people had at that age. So I would say I grew up very fast, and there was a lot of things that I saw growing up that I wouldn't have expected somebody my age to see. So that's another thing. And third thing, how did I grow up?
Something that you just like you really remember when you think about your childhood.
Outdoors, I was outside a lot. So that's definitely one thing. So what a weird thing about me is I just love the whole nature and being outside and everything outside. So that was like my switch off.
Okay, yeah.
So I used to love going out, and obviously there was loads of places I used to go to. So even till now, I go to Box Hill. I've always gone there from when I was younger. Even growing up when I had my motorbike, they used to do some motorbike show there. Yeah. So we'd go there. So yeah, I really love the outdoors and nature. And it sounds a bit weird because a lot of people that know me very well would know this. But then people from the outside wouldn't really know this. Yeah. So, and that explains the fish tanks. So I love like animals and nature and everything else like that. Like growing up, I used to watch always like David Attenborough and Discovery Channel. Yeah. And I'll come outside like, so I'll pretend that I wasn't. But
that is every single London hoodlum.
Yeah, literally.
But what about your education? Where did you study? What did you study?
So I went to Phoenix High School. That was the local school. I done okay. Like I done well in it. I wouldn't say okay. I done
Phoenix in West London.
Yeah, in West London. So I done well in it, and then I went to Richmond College. I done mechanical engineering level 3. Then I went to Portsmouth University. Started doing petroleum engineering. I was there for 1 year and just realized it wasn't for me. Yeah. My initial thing that I wanted to study was motorsport or motorcycle engineering. And I got accepted into that, but then the pressures of family
Oh, yeah.
and everything else like that.
know
Do the
about that
petroleum.
very well.
So yeah, so I done the petroleum. I just realised that I didn't like it, so I came back to London after a year, and then I went to GSM where I done oil and gas management. So it was just the same field, but different. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't see myself doing it.
Yeah.
It was that point in my life that I started to question: is my happiness within making other people happy? So I didn't see myself progressing in that. Like, even if I did very well in the studying, if I finished and got my degree, I wasn't going to work in it. It wasn't for me at all. Like, I didn't enjoy it. And that's when my whole journey started on doing what I enjoy and seeing what I'll be good at. And
So before we kind of really get into, you know, when you did start your businesses and your work career, I know you mentioned responsibilities before. So what kind of responsibilities did you have that kind of differed to other people that were your age?
I would say on my summer holidays, so I was like full time on the construction sites. It was waking up at like 7 a.m. and while everyone's like, I wouldn't say everyone, but majority of people on the summer holiday were not doing that.
Yeah.
So I'd get up and I'm on a construction site by 9 and working and finishing work at like 5, 6 and getting home and then being able to go up. So that really, say, nurtured my way of working.
Yeah.
And then
Was that a family business that?
it wasn't necessarily a family business, but I was working with like family friends.
Okay.
And so I was working with family friends and I was just being put on construction sites just so it's literally what we've done.
So up to how old were you actually, you know, on these construction sites? What age were you?
When I was younger, like from the age of 8 to like 13, 14, I was on there near enough every summer. And then I would say I was in and out up until like I was 20. So any time where I didn't have a job or I needed some cash, or I'll jump back into it.
Yeah.
And I think I was very lucky with the fact that I was able to do that. So I was able to go in and out, and it didn't mean like if I leave the job I'm gone and that's it. So that helped out a lot. So I was in and out near enough throughout my whole teenage years.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the responsibilities I would say I'd had. And then even with like managing my money, so my parents would like set me goals, and it's like, okay, if you want to go on holiday this year, like you'd need to pay for your own ticket.
Yeah.
Like they could have obviously paid for me, but it was like things like that they used to implement on me. So I'll work and I know, okay, I'm working hard for this and having a goal and having something to achieve. So yeah, so that's what I'd say.
Do you think that your parents really, you know, helped emphasize what was important to you from a young age?
Yeah, because I've seen what it's like. I wouldn't say just within parents, but I've seen what it's like for people not to have a structure or a goal or a reason why to what they're doing. So I'm very grateful that I had that, and it taught me and shaped me to be what I am now. So it's whatever goal I have, it's how do I then achieve it?
Yeah.
And it's given me that mindset, and there's things that have been, I'd say, near enough impossible for me, but because of that mindset I was able to achieve it. It's putting things into place so I can reach that goal.
Yeah.
So
Did you have that same mindset when it came to education as well?
I did and I didn't. So obviously the goal was to get a degree and get a perfect job but within school, yes, it was, but when it came down to college, yes, it was also. So I got good grades in college. I done level 3 mechanical engineering. But when it came to university, it's when I started realizing my love wasn't in that. It was more in the construction field. The reason I done engineering, and especially mechanical engineering, is because I wanted to do motorsport engineering or motorcycle engineering. I'm into anything that has an engine.
Yeah.
So, but then that's when I realized, look, this is not me, and I'm happy that happened so early on, because once I did leave university and did leave everything, my goal then changed to, I want to have my own construction company. And this is what I do, this is what I love, this is what I've done, this is what my dad's done, this is what my grandparents, like my granddad was an architect, my dad's was a contractor. So it's more enough like DNA to me. And then nothing feels more fulfilling than going in onto a site and completely changing it. So it was that feeling. There was no other job that could give me that. That was going in there and looking at something, and then the wow factor is, I've had clients walk in and their eyes open up and their mouths drop, and the reason why that is because they're offshore. So when they are coming to see the final product, they're in shock. And it's that is what I started living for. It was that change and exactly getting that satisfaction. So yeah, that helped. Like that's what I started doing it for, and that's what the goal was. It was to do that.
And so let's get this straight as well. So you went to uni for a year.
Yeah.
And then is it after you left uni that you decided you wanted to start Petrichor Designs?
Yeah. So it was after uni that I decided I decided I was going to set up a company. My expectations of setting up that early on were much higher to what it was then. So I thought all I have to do is register a company and jobs are going to come flying in, and I'm next day I'm the biggest contractor in the UK. But it was a big wake up call. Well, it was set. The company took nearly enough 4 years to be set up to where it is now.
Wow.
So yeah, so there was a lot of things I had to learn. There was a lot of things I had to do, and I learned slowly. And that's what I say with everything that I do. There needs to be a structure in place. It's registering the company. It's getting the right insurance in place. It's setting up business accounts, and it's having the qualifications and the certain PPE for you to work on certain sites. So I used to be able to take on contracts, but when I get there, I wasn't seen as like professional. I wasn't seen as many things because there was a lot of things that I didn't know. So it was learning over 4 years and a lot of trial and error for it to be shaped onto what it is now, and being able to do all the jobs that I do now.
That's really interesting. Do you know what? I'm going to hold that point on trial and error. We're going to come back to that. But let's also make clear what exactly is Petrichor Designs.
So Petrichor Designs is the A to Z in construction. So we deal with planning permissions, we deal with designing, consultancy, and even executing the work. We do interior, obviously we do the interior design also. So we source properties, we could manage properties and put them on rent, not through us, but through agencies. So we have a few investors that are offshore and they have a portfolio that we then take care of. So it's having a company there that is anything to do with construction or managing a property. It's a one phone call, and it's near enough setting up a bespoke plan for whoever's doing it. So whether they're looking to invest in future properties, whether they're looking to maintain their actual properties or refurbish, or trying to get higher rental standards. So it's literally A to Z in construction and property management.
Wow.
And that happened over, so it was just construction. Then at the age of like 22, I worked in or 21, I worked in a estate agency. Then I saw the whole management side of properties. So I didn't work there for long. I worked there for like 6-7 months. But it was just an eye opener on having that. There's the thing that's missing within construction is customer service. So a lot of people would have had builders come and say, "Yeah, I'm going to give you a quote," not get back. Nothing's professional. With us, it's more of a professional, bespoke package where we'll sit down, do the designs, break up the plans, and go into detail with everything and show what we're going to execute. Whereas other builders, it's more of, yep, this is how it's going to be done. Plans are not going to be in place. Because what builders are used to is they get the plan and they execute it. What we do is we plan and we also execute.
Yeah.
Because, for example, my sister's an architect, so she helps me with a lot of my stuff. My dad used to be a contractor, so he helps me a lot with my stuff. Like, it wasn't just me. There was a lot of guidance from everywhere. So, and I had friends that were in the property business. So I had a lot of guidance and a lot of expertise on what to do and what the next steps are. And even like now, I've just finished my interior design course. So I've done level 5 in interior design while I had free time. And it's just about making myself and my business better.
Yeah.
So it's anything that I could improve where I then become the expert is putting them into place. And yeah, so it's like, that's near enough to do everything. Basically, when it comes down to it, yeah.
That's a lot of stuff. But then, how many, like, is this just you in the company, or how did it start off as? Was it just you? Obviously, you're getting help, you're getting guidance from your family. Did it start off like that as well, or do you have employees now? How does it work?
So it started off just me, and obviously I had a lot of advice from my family. But now we've got about 25 employees that work on construction sites throughout. The most sites I had running at one go were 12. So even for me to like be able to manage all of that, it was intense.
That's a lot.
But yeah, it was intense, but it was a huge achievement that I pulled them all off. There were some delays and things that happened, but it was the first time I was dealing with something like that. So yeah, so it was near enough just me, and then now obviously we've got the employees and I've got an assistant, and everything just gets done. So it was over the 4 years, I would see where my problems were at, and I didn't want to throw money at it and fix it. It was more of, what can I do? And my part was getting in the contracts, and that's what the best thing is. So what a lot of people do with business is they would set up a business, and then they'll put sales guys inside, or they would want sales to go up or everything else like that. Where how I work is very different. I want more of the admin side sorted out and more of the site sorted out, and I'm going to go get the business because my heart is going to be into it and I want that contract. So that's how I changed it. I would never put anybody else other than me to sit down with a client and try to get a contract, because I don't feel like they're as hungry as I am. So, and I don't mean as hungry, I'm just trying to take your money, but it's like I'm trying to do the best that I can and push myself. And me, I work very well under pressure. So it's keeping that pressure on. And so
how, obviously you said that it took around 4 years for the company to actually lift off. I mean, what were you doing throughout those 4 years if there wasn't any income as such coming in from that?
I worked a few different jobs. I worked in an estate agency. I worked in a blinds and curtain company. I worked in a kitchen design company. I worked in a delivery company, so I was in the head office. And so it was literally bouncing jobs, and then any time I'd stop in between on the company again, and it was just doing that. But I would always go back to it. So that's what.
So I guess a lot of people are going to be thinking as well, like, how did you go from PD, from Petrol to Wish? Like, how did that transition even come in? Or was it a sudden idea that you're like, hey, I want to own a restaurant? Like, what was it?
So with Wish is, at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur. Wherever I could see something can work, I would always look at it. My goal my dream, and a lot of people would know this about me, is to one day be a restaurateur of a really nice restaurant and own a Michelin star on it. So that's my dream. Like, I'm a big foodie, so it was an opportunity to get into the right steps. So it was, especially with Wish, with how we've designed it and how it looks and the food, and you are in the middle of an industrial area, but when you are inside here, you forget that. So this place, what it's become, especially to the workers around here, is the switch off. So we saw like how you have WeWork and how you have certain office companies where they will have that section where it's their switch off, their downtime, whether it's their lunch break, whether it's before work or after work. So that's what the plan was with here, and it was to have that oasis in the middle of steel and metal and concrete. Where exactly, so you come in here and it's greenery, because around here, I'll be honest with you, there's no greenery. It's just, for people that have been here, they'll know the surrounding area. But it's when you're in here, it is an oasis. You've got like, it's your switch off. It's like the music is very calm that we play. The things that are on TV that are very calm that we have. You've got the sound of the water of the fish tanks, and you've got the greenery and the sunshine, and it is really that switch off time for them. And I think that's why people enjoy coming here so much. And whereas now it's not just the people around here, it's people coming out to come into here, and it was catering to that. So yeah, it was an opportunity. We saw it and we said, can we do it? And the answer was yes, and then that was it.
When did Wish actually start? I mean, I know it got set up last year, but was this something that you had been thinking about? Because I know there's other people who were involved with setting up Wish. It wasn't just you, but how did you all come to that idea? How did you come to the conclusion that, okay, guys, I think we are the right ones to come and do this together?
Well, they've been my friends for a very long time, and I've classed them as best friends, to be honest with you, and brothers. So it was having that opportunity on hand where it came to us, and we looked at it. It was just having that belief, to be honest with you. There was no doubt in it. Like, it was a big task, don't get me wrong, because how this place was before.
It looks like a big
task. It was a massive task, but it was it was seeing that, and was it something that we could fulfill, and we took it head on and said yes, we can. We have had like challenges throughout, especially even like when we were getting it up and running and everything else like that. Like, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't fully ready to what we wanted it to be, but we had to cater it just so it could run. And but to now, where we are, this was the goal. This was to have the kitchen and have the seating area and have the drinks and have. So it's really good where you would see from where we started to where we are now. There's a massive difference. Like, even with like our mocktails and even with like the food, and there was a point where we used to do paninis. Well, now we do burgers, and so it was just, nothing is ever complete. Like, you could never, to me personally, is you can't get it right the first time. You can't. And if we just left it as that, it wouldn't be what it is today. I
think that's such a good point, and that again, that comes to the trial and error. Like, just because you do something once doesn't mean you have to stick to that. You see places that you can improve on, and that's where you're going to focus on. So I guess, because it hasn't even come to 1 year that Wish has been around. I mean, it's coming up to it, but obviously this is very local to me as well, so I come to Wish very frequently, and I can see a massive change in what it was to what it is now. And I think, to make it clear for the listeners or the viewers as well, it started off as a cafe, but now you guys are actually, you've opened up your kitchen now. You're serving the food, and I guess COVID had a good part involved in that as well. Or
COVID had a massive, like, it was at the beginning, it hit us hard, and it was, we haven't even been open a year, and then we're having to deal with this. So, but at the same time, it was a massive reset and a rethink, and it was possible for us to finish off what we were doing while it was running. So it helped a lot, and I'll say it had, financially it wasn't a good effect on us, but goal wise it had a very, very good effect. Like, it is like we've moved 10 steps ahead because of it, because we had that time, and because it became a construction site all over again. And so I still feel like we're like 80% finished with Wish. Like, there are a few improvements that we do need to make, and we know these things. So and it's just about making everybody that comes here a bit more comfortable and enjoy it. So we're starting to have our rush at lunch times and everything else like that with the workers. So it's become very positive compared to what it used to be. So
but I guess, to make it clear as well, like, there was never any issues as such with, the actually getting people to come in here. This place would get rounds.
Yeah.
Before
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It was still always busy.
But it was
But
just just making the point that this is stuff that you guys felt like you needed to improve.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what was happening on the outside.
Yeah.
You knew that, okay, but I haven't reached my goal yet.
Yeah.
So that's what I need to
Yeah.
get to.
Like it was never. I would never say I was dead and quiet and no one was here. That was never the case. It was more of what we wanted out of it. We wasn't satisfied.
Yeah.
Like, even though we were busy and would get packed, but we was never satisfied because that's what we want. We want to do this. We want to open up. So yeah.
The grind doesn't stop.
Exactly. So right now we open up at 12 o'clock, but we're working on plans to start opening up from 7 a.m.
Oh wow.
Because we've had a lot of the construction guys go say, look, if we're opened up from then, they'll be having breakfast here.
Really?
Yeah. So
wow.
So that's.
Saw an
stage
opportunity.
two. That's another stage. That's why I say we're not fully done. So.
I guess, could you ever say that you are fully done? Could you see yourself ever saying that? Yeah, I'm done.
Is what I chase with near enough satisfaction and what I would be satisfied with. I don't think it would ever be done. Not just the case of that there's competition out there and they're improving and anything else like that. It's the food menu. I'd always want to improve it, and it's good to start off with what we've got now, but then we've got plans on how we want it to change and what we want to serve here. And it's even like the table setups and the tabletops. It's never gonna be done. So with this type of business, especially being a restaurateur, you've got two types. You've got the type of business where it would like to stay vintage and it's got its crowd and it's been there for 20, 30, 40 years. But then when you're new in the game, you always have to bring something new to the table. You want to keep the buzz there. So changing these things would always keep that there and always refresh it. And I don't think there'll be a point where we'll be like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
I don't think at all. So, and it's fun. It's chasing it. It's fun. Like always keeping up to date with the game, and it's just fun. And when you see like other people have done the same thing or they've copied you on certain things, and it's just like, okay, we are.
I set pace and
yeah, exactly. So we are kind of like doing something right.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's fun to watch. And I didn't ever think like seeing people copy us would have such a positive impact on me, where it has, because I know I'm doing something right for that to be happening. So yeah.
That's amazing. But so I guess that kind of, you've mentioned being a restaurateur. Is that where Bando Burgers has come in now? I mean, you're 26. This is your third hopefully third successful business that will be setting up. So do you want to explain what your idea is behind Bando Burgers? So
we've got Bando Burgers hopefully opening on July 30th. Might be delayed just because of the shipments on certain things because of the whole COVID thing that happened. So so I've been to a lot of burger shops and I'll be honest with you, burgers are my favourite.
Yeah.
One of my favourite foods after sushi. But so it's I've had a lot of burgers and everyone's just trying to be too different with their burgers now. Like, even, don't get me wrong, here we've got burgers that are different. For example, we've got the Oriental burger, we've got a few things here. But with Bando, the goal is to get that proper cheeseburger, like back in the day, old school style, retro, and how you got to have the cheeseburger, the double cheeseburger, you can have the hamburger, and it's just going to be like keeping it simple. So
that's going to be like a proper difference to what is at Wish currently. Because the menu at Wish, I look at the dessert menu, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to pick for all of this. Like there's more than 5-6 items on the menu. So I'm assuming now that for Bando it's going to be straight. This is the list.
Yeah, it's going to be.
This is all that you're going to be getting. Is that?
It's going to be a very small menu with Bando because we kind of want to specialize in the research that's gone into like the burgers. It's like, for example, I'll tell you exactly how Five Guys burgers are done. I'll tell you exactly how Smash burgers are done. Like, because I've done so much research within it. And I don't want to do the whole gourmet and make it look all pretty and flowers on top of it, edible. I just wanted a straight, like, where you'd have a burger, and the thing is, for a chef, I'm not a chef, but for a chef, what their goal is to, and the biggest goal, like all the most successful chefs that I've watched and read about, is what their goal is for you to have that bite and remember your childhood.
Yeah.
And they call it the ratatouille moment. So I don't know if you watched Ratatouille,
yeah.
when the inspector he eats it and he remembers his childhood. So it's like, okay, forget all this junk of onion rings and burgers and this and having it stacked that much, and it's like, how are you gonna eat it?
Yeah.
Whereas now is, this is what a cheeseburger
This
was,
is
and this is how it needs to be. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've looked at like a lot of things, like the In-N-Out in America, how they do their burgers, and it's trying to get as close to that as I can, where there's no gag, there's no singing, there's no dancing. It's, I want to be known for the food.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally down to that. There is going to be a huge social media like push on it, but at the same time, I want people to go say, let's go to Bando Burgers, not for the clout or to take the picture, but more of their burgers are amazing. Exactly. So it even goes down to like our buns, our sauce. Like, we're doing the whole mac and cheese on the chips. We're doing these things, but the full focus is going to be on the burgers and the wings. So, and that's what's going to be, burgers and wings. Like, I just want it to be a messy. You're gonna sit there, have like a proper,
my mouth
like,
is drooling right now.
Yeah. So people that know me know I'm a massive foodie, and
would you say this is going to be more like fast food or fast casual?
It's going to be more like fast food.
Okay.
Like, it's going to be more like even the machines that we're getting for the milkshakes, they are the retro like 60s, 70s machines where you just clip the cup in, and so it's trying to get as close as that. Like, we're not doing the whole Oreo milkshake no, it's strawberry, banana, chocolate. That's it. Like,
straight strawberry.
Exactly. There you go. So that's the goal with it, and it's untangling something that became so complicated. Like, and where it, with a lot of things like within this generation, it's going back to basics is now different.
Yeah.
So and I could say that with like everything. Like, if it comes down to music, if it comes down to how you look, it's sometimes, it's now being natural or being old school is now the different thing that makes you stand out compared to everybody looking the same, everybody dressing the same, everybody eating the same, everyone trying the same thing. Where now it's, okay, let's push it back a little bit and just remind everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you different now. I don't want to be putting weird stuff in my people doing donuts with burgers.
No comment on
that. So I'm just like, yo, let me take it back to the basics, just for people like me, like the demographic is there, and we'll see where it goes with that,
sick.
man.
That sounds sick. But obviously, up till now, it's kind of sounded like, obviously you were very hard working as a child, but then it sounds like everything just came your way. Like, you had a nice breeze through from into 3 businesses.
No, I wouldn't say a nice breeze through.
Yeah. So let's focus a little bit more on, like, did you come across like difficulties at any point, or when in your lifetime was the hardest part for you and trying to get through that and move on to the next stage?
When I was 19, I got in trouble, and this was like the biggest thing for me. Is when I was 19, I got in trouble, and I got into a fight in a club. To us, it was, especially growing up, and everyone would notice I grew up in London. There's certain things you deem normal, like you would, but then when I've seen it from the other side and how different people see it, where it's like when you grow up in London, it was normal to fight, and it was normal, like these things you don't like, oh my god, this guy's a fighter, or this guy fights, or this guy does this. It was like there's a lot of things that I would say, like, for example, smoking, going out, and all these things. If you grew up in London, it's so normal. Like, I've only experienced it in the past few years where it's people like, oh my god, this guy smokes weed. Oh my god, this, and it's like, but to us, it's the norm. So that was like the first time I got in trouble for something I didn't at the time think was that bad. So anyway, I got in trouble on that, and then it was a couple of years. It was in and out of court. It was deemed as excessive self-defense, and I was convicted at like 23 or 22, like years after it happened. So when I say convicted, I was like suspended sentence, criminal record, fine, community service. So they just hit me with everything except for going to jail, because they didn't see that it was worth going to jail for, ruining my life for. So yeah, so I got punished like very badly. I was at home for like 3 months. I couldn't leave my house, or I leave my house between times. And then that's when it was like, there is a punishment. Like, because growing up in London, it was, you think it's normal to do like, oh, you fight and men fight, but once it became a punishment and you saw how big it got made over like, I would say 2 punches, for example, when it happened. And when I saw it after, I was like, wow, like this is an actual bad, like people deem this as very bad. And I think a lot of people, especially in London as teenagers growing up, they don't feel that until it's too late.
Yeah.
Thankfully, mine wasn't like that bad of a situation, but from what is classed as normal to us growing up, the consequence is so severe. And yeah, by just that, I got a criminal record, and it meant I couldn't work in a lot of places. So the last job I had was in a kitchen design company, and thankfully I got in there because the regional manager knew me, and he explained the whole situation, everything, and then they allowed me in. Once I felt that, I was way more careful with what punishments could have been. So I think a lot of people, I wouldn't say need to experience being punished, but be shown what the consequences are.
Two hours later.
Yeah, so it was, I think, being brought up where you don't feel things are that bad, or growing up in a generation where we didn't feel that things were that bad, it really needs to happen with the new generation. Is they need to, like, it needs to be embedded in them. There's consequences to your action, and I think if I was to ever change anything, like if I was able to ever, it would be that. And it wouldn't be a thing of scaring it into them, it's more of understanding. Because I'm sure everybody's had that person where it's like, they'll have that older figure speak to them. But as youngsters, we used to always brush it off.
Yeah.
Until it became us speaking to someone and saying, I know you're going to brush this off, because the same thing was said to me. So it's trying to find a way for the youth to understand certain things and put certain things through their mind. I think that's very important if we want to progress as a society. That's what I would change, to be honest with you.
Who do you think you're doing all of this for?
It's definitely for my family. The thing is when it changed from being like, when it went very good for me, it was when my actual intentions were for it to be my family. When that intention changed and it changed by my actions, that's when I feel like I was really rewarded.
Yeah.
And that's when everything fell into place.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's for, and even like my future family, like I don't think there's anything more beautiful than having a wife and children and having everything else like that. So it's everything is for that, to be honest with you. Everything has been generated around family, and everything has been done for family, and it's not for the image, it's not for the cars, it's not for any of that. It is for my family, and it would always be for my family. And if you ask me in 10 years, it's still going to be for my family. Is that the goal's not going to change? That's what the goal is. And no matter what gets in the way, that's always going to be the goal. So, yeah.
Wow. I think we can wrap it up on that because